You're not here by accident. Something has already been set in motion against you. Listen carefully, because this message is not for everyone. It's not for the distracted. It's not for the comfortable. It's for the one who has been feeling a shift, a strange tension in the air, a weight you can't explain, but can't ignore either. You've been sensing it, haven't you? The way certain things suddenly stopped working in your life. The way people began acting differently toward you. Colder, distant, or even hostile, for no clear reason. Doors that once opened easily now feel locked. Conversations feel forced and deep down. There's this unshakable feeling, like something is being orchestrated behind the scenes. You tried to brush it off. You told yourself you were overthinking. But what if you're not? What if the pressure you feel right now isn't random? What if it's targeted? Because here's the truth, most people will never understand. When you are chosen, when your life carries purpose, when there is something divine placed inside you, opposition doesn't come loudly at first. It comes quietly, strategically. It studies you, it waits, and then it sets a trap. Not an obvious one, not something you can easily recognize. No, this kind of trap is designed to look normal. It blends into your daily life. It hides behind opportunities, behind people you trust, behind decisions that seem harmless on the surface. And before you even realize it, you're already walking into it. Have you noticed how lately certain choices feel heavier than usual? Like even a small decision carries unusual consequences. That's not by accident. That's pressure. That's manipulation. That's something trying to push you into a position where one wrong step could change everything. Because the trap isn't just about stopping you. It's about exposing you. It's about placing you in a situation where others can misunderstand you, accuse you, even turn against you. And once that happens, it creates a chain reaction. Reputation, trust, freedom, all of it becomes vulnerable. And that's where the real danger begins. You see, not every battle is fought with force. Some are fought with setup, with timing, with deception so precise that by the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late. That's why you've been feeling watched, not physically, but spiritually. That uneasiness, that hesitation before certain actions, that sudden urge to pause when something doesn't feel right. That's not fear. That's awareness. Something inside you knows something is off. But here's what makes this even more serious. You weren't supposed to notice. Most people walk straight into traps like this without ever questioning it. They follow the path laid out for them. They trust too quickly. They act without discernment. And when everything falls apart, they don't even understand why. But you stopped. You felt it. You questioned it. And that changes everything. Because now, you're no longer just a target. You're a threat. And when a trap begins to fail, it doesn't just disappear. It adapts. That's when things escalate. That's when confusion increases. Distractions multiply. People may try to rush you, pressure you, even provoke you into reacting emotionally. Why? Because a reaction can be used. A moment of weakness can be turned into evidence. A single mistake can be magnified. And suddenly, the situation isn't in your control anymore. This is where many fall, not because they're weak, but because they didn't realize how calculated the setup was. But you're being warned right now, not to scare you, but to prepare you, because there is a difference between someone who walks blindly into a trap and someone who sees it forming in real time. One becomes a victim, the other becomes untouchable. So don't ignore what you're feeling. Don't dismiss the tension. Don't rush into anything just because it looks right on the outside. Slow down. Observe. Question everything. Because what looks like an opportunity might actually be a setup. What feels like urgency might actually be pressure designed to make you slip. And what seems like a coincidence might be something far more intentional. This is not the moment to act without thinking. This is the moment to become aware of every step you take. Because once you understand the nature of the trap, you stop being controlled by it. And the ones who set it, they start to lose their advantage. But this is only the beginning of what's unfolding around you. Because the truth is, this situation goes deeper than you think. Far deeper. There are layers you haven't even seen yet. Moves being made that haven't revealed themselves. Pieces being positioned that you don't yet understand. They didn't choose you randomly. They chose you because of who you are becoming. Take a moment and really let that sink in. This isn't about who you used to be. It's not about your past mistakes, your struggles, or the version of you that once doubted everything. No, this is about the version of you that is rising right now. The one that's starting to see clearly. The one that's beginning to outgrow old patterns, old nas, old medjugiti, even old fears. That version of you is dangerous. Not dangerous in a negative way, but dangerous to anything that has been trying to keep you small, confused, and stuck. Because when someone begins to awaken spiritually, when they start recognizing their worth, their purpose, their connection to something higher, it disrupts everything that was built to contain them. And that's when the attacks begin. You have to understand this clearly. Spiritual attacks don't always look like something dark or obvious. They don't always come as fear or nightmares. Sometimes they come as distractions, as sudden chaos, as emotional overwhelm that hits you out of nowhere. Have you noticed how your peace has been challenged lately? Moments where you were finally calm, and then suddenly something happens to disturb it. A message, a conflict, a thought that pulls you back into anxiety. It feels random, but it's not. It's targeted. Because your peace is powerful. Your clarity is powerful. And anything that carries power becomes a target for disruption. The truth is, darkness doesn't waste time on people who are not a threat. It doesn't focus on those who are already asleep, already controlled, already moving in cycles that lead nowhere. But you're different. You've started to question things. You've started to pull back from situations that no longer feel right. You've begun to notice patterns that others ignore, and most importantly, you've started to change. That change is what triggered everything. Because the moment you step out of alignment with what was holding you back, you also step into conflict with it. And that conflict isn't always visible. Sometimes it shows up through people. People you once trusted, suddenly acting in ways that confuse you, misunderstanding you, judging you, even trying to provoke you into reacting out of character. It hurts because you don't expect it. You don't understand why it's happening. But it's not always about them. Sometimes they are just being used as instruments of pressure. And the goal of that pressure is simple: to pull you back into your old self, to make you doubt your growth, to make you question your path, to make you react emotionally instead of moving with awareness. Because the moment you lose control, the moment you act without thinking, the moment you step out of your higher mindset, you become easier to trap. That's why the attacks feel so personal, because they are designed to reach you emotionally, to hit you where it hurts, to make you feel isolated, like no one understands you, like everything is turning against you at once. But here's what you need to remember. In those moments, pressure reveals purpose. If nothing significant was inside you, there would be no reason to apply this kind of pressure. If your path didn't matter, there would be no reason to distract you from it. If your future wasn't valuable, there would be no reason to try and derail it. The fact that you're experiencing this is confirmation, not of weakness, but of significance. And I know it doesn't always feel that way. Sometimes it feels exhausting. Sometimes it feels unfair. Sometimes you just want things to be simple again, to go back to how they were before all of this started. But you can't. Because you've already seen too much. You've already felt too much. You've already stepped into a level of awareness that doesn't allow you to return to ignorance. And that's exactly why the targeting has increased. Because you are no longer easy to control. You're no longer moving blindly. You're starting to see the difference between what looks right and what actually is right. And that kind of discernment, it threatens everything built on illusion. So the attacks intensify, not because you're losing, but because you're getting closer to something real, closer to clarity, closer to purpose, closer to becoming the version of yourself that cannot be manipulated, distracted, or trapped. And that's the version they fear the most, because once you fully step into that identity, once you fully understand who you are and what you carry, the game changes completely. At that point, you're no longer reacting to what's happening around you. You're seeing through it. You're moving with intention. You're protected by awareness itself. But right now, you're in the middle of the transition, and this is the most critical phase because it's where the pressure is highest. It's where the confusion is strongest. It's where the lines between truth and illusion feel blurred. And it's also where most people give up, not because they weren't chosen, but because they didn't realize what being chosen actually requires. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires the ability to stay grounded, even when everything around you feels unstable, because not every battle is meant to be fought with action. Some are meant to be understood. Some are meant to be seen without reacting. And some are meant to reveal what's really happening behind the surface, because the real danger isn't always in what's being done to you. It's in how you respond to it. And that's where everything begins to shift. Because once you master your response, the trap loses its power. But the real trap isn't what you think. It goes much deeper. And what they're planning next is something you never saw coming. The trap has already been placed, and most people would never even notice it. That's what makes it so dangerous. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with warning signs or loud alarms. Instead, it blends into your reality so perfectly that it feels like just another day, another decision, another interaction. But underneath that normal surface, something is being carefully constructed. The trap is built through manipulation, not obvious control, but subtle influence, small nudges, quiet suggestions, situations that seem natural but are actually designed to guide your behavior in a specific direction. It could be a conversation that plants doubt in your mind, or an opportunity that feels right, but carries hidden consequences. You don't realize it at first because it doesn't feel forced. It feels like your own choice. And that's the illusion, because the most effective trap is the one you willingly walk into. Then comes deception. Things aren't always what they appear to be. People aren't always who they pretend to be, and intentions are rarely revealed up front. You might meet someone who seems supportive, someone who speaks the right words, shows the right energy, earns your trust slowly, but behind that, there can be a different motive. Not always evil in a dramatic sense, but misaligned, misleading, positioned in your life at a specific moment for a specific reason, to test you, to distract you, or to redirect you away from where you're supposed to go. Because one of the biggest ways chosen ones are tested is through people, not enemies you can easily identify, but connections that feel real. That's where betrayal quietly enters. And betrayal doesn't always mean someone openly turns against you. Sometimes it's more subtle than that. It's the person who gives you the wrong advice at the wrong time, the one who encourages you to act when you should wait, or convinces you to wait when you should act. It's influence, and influence shapes outcomes. That's how the trap tightens. You begin to question yourself. You start second-guessing your instincts. That inner voice that once guided you clearly becomes quieter, harder to hear. Not because it's gone, but because so many external voices are now competing with it. And that confusion, that's the environment where mistakes are made, where one wrong move can be taken out of context, where one emotional reaction can be used against you, where one decision leads you exactly where the trap was designed to take you. And here's the part most people don't realize. The trap isn't always meant to destroy you instantly. Sometimes it's meant to test you first, to see how you respond under pressure, to see if you act out of emotion or awareness, to see if you follow the crowd or trust your discernment. Because every interaction, every situation, every unexpected challenge right now is revealing something about you. Are you reacting or observing? Are you rushing or pausing? Are you trusting blindly or questioning deeply? These moments may seem small, but they are not. They are checkpoints, and each one determines whether you move closer to the trap or further away from it. That's why things feel so intense lately, because the tests are happening back to back. One situation flows into another. One challenge leads to the next. It feels like you barely have time to breathe before something else demands your attention. That's not coincidence. That's pressure being applied consistently, hoping that eventually you slip, because exhaustion leads to carelessness, and carelessness leads to mistakes. But this is where awareness changes everything, because once you understand how the trap works, you stop moving the same way. You become more intentional. You stop reacting immediately. You start observing patterns instead of isolated events. You notice how certain situations repeat themselves, how certain people trigger specific emotions, how certain opportunities come with a sense of urgency that feels unnatural. And that awareness, it slows everything down. It gives you space to think. It gives you power over your next move. Because the trap relies on speed, on you acting before thinking, on you trusting without questioning, on you moving based on emotion instead of clarity. But when you pause, when you step back, when you choose not to react instantly, you break that pattern. And suddenly, what was hidden starts to reveal itself. Motives become clearer, intentions become visible, and the path you're being led down no longer feels so convincing. That's when the trap begins to lose its grip. But here's the truth. It doesn't disappear. It adapts. Because once manipulation stops working, something else takes its place. The pressure might increase. The situations might become more complicated. The emotional weight might feel heavier because now it's trying a different approach, and this is where many get caught, not at the beginning, but right when they think they've figured it out. Because the final stage of the trap is subtle. It's not loud. It's not chaotic. It's not obvious. It's quiet. It's disguised as something familiar, something comfortable, something that feels safe enough to lower your guard. And that's when it strikes. Not through force, but through one small moment, one overlooked detail, one decision that doesn't feel dangerous, but changes everything. And if you don't recognize this one sign, it could cost you everything. This is the moment that will decide everything. What you do next matters. Right now, you are standing at a turning point, not the kind that announces itself with clear signs or easy choices, but the kind that quietly tests who you are becoming. Every thought, every reaction, every decision from this moment forward carries weight. And the difference between falling into the trap or rising above it comes down to how aware you choose to be. The first thing you must understand is this: you cannot move the same way anymore. What worked before won't work now. Blind trust, quick reactions, emotional decisions. These are the exact openings the trap is waiting for. So your first action is simple, but powerful. Slow down, not out of fear, but out of control. You don't need to rush to prove anything. You don't need to respond immediately to every message, every situation, every opportunity. In fact, the more something pressures you to act quickly, the more you should pause. Because clarity doesn't come in chaos. It comes in stillness. Take a step back and observe. Watch how things unfold without inserting yourself too quickly. Notice patterns. Notice how certain situations repeat. Notice how certain people behave when you don't react the way they expect. This is how you begin to see beyond the surface. The second thing you must do is protect your mind, because every trap begins there. Doubt, fear, confusion. These are not just emotions, they are tools, and if they take control of your thinking, they will influence your actions. That's why it's so important to stay grounded spiritually. Pray, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because connection with God is what sharpens your discernment. It quiets the noise. It strengthens that inner voice that warns you when something isn't right. Without that connection, everything starts to feel uncertain. But with it, you begin to sense things before they happen. You begin to feel when something is off, even if you can't explain why. And that feeling, you must trust it, not ignore it, not explain it away. Trust it, because your discernment is one of the greatest protections you have right now. It's not random. It's not imagination. It's guidance. The third thing is to detach from the need to be understood. This is where many chosen ones fall. They try to explain themselves. They try to make others see their intentions. They waste energy trying to fix perceptions that were never meant to be understood in the first place. But listen carefully. Not everyone is meant to understand you in this season. Some people are part of the test, and the more you try to convince them, the deeper you step into the trap. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. Let people think what they want. Let situations reveal themselves over time. You don't need to defend your path to those who were never meant to walk it with you. The fourth thing is discipline. Not just in what you do, but in how you respond. You will be provoked. You will be misunderstood. You will face moments where reacting feels justified. But this is where everything is decided, because one emotional reaction, one moment of losing control, can undo everything you've been protecting. So you must stay centered. Breathe before you respond. Think before you act. And sometimes, choose not to act at all. Because restraint is power, and the more disciplined you become, the harder it is for anything to manipulate you. Finally, remember this above all else. You are not going through this alone. Even when it feels isolating, even when it feels like everything is against you, there is a higher protection over your life. You are being guided, even in moments where things don't make sense. But guidance only works when you are willing to listen, not just with your ears, but with your spirit, because the answers you're looking for won't always come loudly. Sometimes they come as a quiet feeling, a hesitation, a sense to wait, a knowing to walk away. And if you follow that, if you stay patient, aware, and connected, you won't just avoid the trap, you'll rise above it completely. And when that happens, everything changes. The fear disappears, the confusion clears, the pressure fades, and you step into a level of clarity and strength that cannot be shaken. But until then, stay alert, stay grounded, stay disciplined, because this moment, right now, is shaping what comes next. And what comes next will not just test you, it will reveal you. Because what's about to happen next will reveal who you truly are. You were warned for a reason. Because your story is not ending here. Everything you felt, every moment of confusion, every wave of pressure, every situation that didn't make sense, it was never meant to break you. It was meant to wake you up. Because now you see, Not completely, not perfectly, but enough to know that something deeper is happening. Enough to understand that your life is not random, and neither are the challenges you've been facing. There is a purpose behind it. There is a design behind it. And most importantly, there is protection over you. You have to hold on to that, because fear will try to convince you otherwise. Fear will tell you that you're alone, that you're vulnerable, that everything is closing in on you. But fear is not truth. It's a reaction. And if you let it take control, it will cloud everything. God is trying to show you, so instead of feeding the fear, you shift your focus. You remember who is in control. Not the people around you, not the situations unfolding, not even the trap that was set. God is in control. Always has been, always will be. And if He allowed you to see this message, if He allowed you to feel this awareness, then that means one thing. You are not meant to fall into what was planned against you. You are meant to rise above it. That's what being chosen really means. It doesn't mean an easy life. It doesn't mean no challenges, no opposition, no moments of doubt. It means you are trusted with more. It means you are being shaped for something greater than what you can see right now. And sometimes that shaping process feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like everything is being stripped away. People, habits, environments, even parts of yourself that once felt familiar. But that's not loss. That's preparation. Because you cannot step into your next level, carrying everything from your past. And that's why this moment matters so much. Because this is where you decide who you're going to be moving forward. Will you let fear control your steps? Or will you move with faith? Will you react to every situation? Or will you respond with wisdom? Will you chase validation from Nas? Or will you stay aligned with God? These choices, they define everything. And the truth is, you're stronger than you think. You've already made it through things that should have stopped you. You've already faced situations that could have broken you, but you're still here, still standing, still searching for truth, still moving forward, even when it's hard. That's not weakness, that's resilience, that's purpose. And that's proof that something greater is working through your life. So don't lose focus now. Don't let temporary pressure make you forget your long-term purpose. Because what you're going through right now is temporary, but who you are becoming through it, that's permanent. That's the version of you that will walk into rooms with confidence, that will make decisions with clarity, that will no longer be easily influenced, distracted, or manipulated. That's the version of you that the trap was trying to stop, but it failed because you're still here. And now, you're aware, and awareness is power. So walk differently from this moment on. Move with intention. Stay in tension, connected to God daily. Guard your thoughts, protect your energy, and trust that even when you don't understand everything, you are being guided exactly where you need to go. Nothing that is truly meant for you will be taken away, and nothing that is against you will succeed unless you allow it. So stand firm, not in fear, but in faith. Because you are not just surviving this season, you are being elevated through it. And one day, you will look back at this exact moment and realize that what felt like a trap was actually a turning point. A moment where everything could have gone wrong, but didn't, because you chose awareness, because you chose discipline, because you chose God. If this message spoke to you, if you felt something shift inside you while listening, don't ignore it. Take a moment right now and comment Amen to declare your alignment, your protection, and your awareness. Subscribe to this channel so you don't miss what's coming next, because this is only the beginning of what you're about to understand. Like and share this message with someone who needs to hear it, because you're not the only one going through this, even if it feels that way. And remember this: no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, no matter how intense the pressure becomes, you were never meant to be destroyed by this. You were meant to be revealed through it. What was meant to destroy you will be the very thing that proves you were chosen.